Okay. Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector, and I am back. First off, wanted to send a shout out to Retro Rick. I've been gone a couple days, just spending some time with family, and when I came back I saw a ton of videos just talking about how amazing Retrofest was. And to be quite honest, after watching all those videos, I was a little upset that I didn't make the time to go out there to it. It seems like a really good gaming convention that I would have enjoyed. Not too big, not too small, just just at the right size in terms of vendors and activities and things to be engaged with. So I thought that he did a good job just based on some of the feedback that I was seeing online. So shouts out to you. I know it was your first one, and hopefully next year I'll be able to attend and be a part of it. It just seems like a really cool event. I don't go to a lot of retro gaming conventions. In fact, I've only been to one, just because, I don't often do the large crowds. But if I do go to one, I'm usually going with an agenda to buy a game that I just have not been able to find in my local area, or because I'm not really comfortable paying the online prices like eBay and stuff like that. So whenever I'm going to a convention, I'm usually looking for a very rare game, or a game that's probably really expensive, and just hoping to be able to make a deal. So Retro Rick does have some pretty good games. I've seen him post some stuff on his channel. So and just outside of him, I look at retro gaming conventions as an opportunity to just get some of the more rare stuff. So but again, shouts out to you. And then on to the reason for today's video. It's because I ran into an article that recently came out through the New York Times. And it's talking about something that we've heard a lot about in the gaming community. It's something that's been talked about for some time. It's a little bit of a sensitive topic, I think, especially during these times. But the title of the article says, "Gaming's Uneven Progress Towards Diverse Female Figures." And it leads off by saying a vocal group that says women in video games are being defeminized wants to return to 1990s babes like Lara Croft. And the article's by Jamal Michael. Came out on the 18th of this year, so not that long ago. He starts the article off by saying the intergalactic bounty hunter in the sci-fi video game Metroid was outfitted with a sleek helmet and red and orange armor and a deadly arm cannon, but it's what was underneath that was emblematic of the late 1980s. If a player defeated the game in less than an hour, the character Samus Aran would flash until that armored suit was suddenly gone, replaced by a blonde woman in a pink bikini. The industry's hypersexualization of women continued through the 1990s with characters like Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider archaeologist with short shorts, prominent breasts, and an often bare midriff, and Morgan Ensland, the bat-like succubus of the Darkstalkers series. As the audience for video games has become increasingly diverse over the past 2 decades, developers have worked intentionally to better represent a spectrum of women who don't conform to 20th century sexual stereotypes either in what they do — some characters are resistance fighters and photojournalists — or how they look. Yet not everyone is on board. The article goes on to say online influencers like Jeremy Hambley, whose YouTube channel has nearly 1.8 million subscribers, have attracted audiences with reactionary videos about social issues. He is known for divisive commentary on video game culture, posting daily videos with titles such as, quote, "Woke video game massively flops," and, quote, "Internet fixes ugly female video game character and leftists explode with rage," unquote. One user-made list on the Steam storefront criticizes games for what it calls overtly pro-LGBTQ plus messaging, and having, quote, "multiple female heroes who are frontline combatants," quote. It's called woke content detector. Platforms like X and Twitch can similarly act as echo chambers where disaffected players make derogatory remarks about modern female characters, arguing that video games are defeminizing women. They yearn for an era when curvaceous bodies and minimal clothing were common. In 2022, some people were irritated by the natural hairs on the cheeks of Aloy, a character from the Horizon games that takes place in a 30th century, or 31st rather, century post-apocalyptic United States. After the next Fable game was announced last year, complaints swiftly rolled in that its female hero was an example of the, quote, uglification of women, and the game looked like a, quote, woke disaster. During this summer's annual cycle of video game announcements, Twitch and YouTube chats were filled with disparaging messages at the sight of a black woman on screen or a female soldier toting heavy artillery. The online fervor has led to harassment of developers and others who work to undo negative female representation, including a small narrative consultancy company that helps with sensitivity readings and other projects. It is a vestige of Gamergate, an online harassment campaign that started in 2014 and targeted women across the industry. The article then says, those same critics try to elevate games that they believe to actively reject leftist values, coalescing this year around Stellar Blade, which stars a scantily clad female hero. Now that's the reason why this article, I'm going to pause with the article. That's the reason why this article caught my eye, because I am a fan of Stellar Blade. But not so much because of the main character, but because I'm a huge hack and slash fan, and it just seems like a very detailed next level hack and slash game. Yes, is the main character a scantily clad female hero? Sure, but for someone like me, that's not my main draw to that type of game. The article continues, at first they cheered the game, whose main character Eve was designed with accentuated breasts and legs and could wear an array of revealing costumes. When developers, in what they called an internal creative decision, added a small piece of lace that modified the low-cut bodice, I think that's how you say that, of one of Eve's outfits, those same players were driven into a frenzy, leading to a petition against what they labeled as censorship. Soraya Murray, an associate professor of film and digital media at the University of California, Santa Cruz, said that arguments about how video games depicted female characters were not new, but have been amplified by social media. The quote says, those with vitriol against how games have been forced to reconcile with the more sophisticated expectations of players have a platform for grievances and angst that games aren't exclusively about them anymore, she said in an email. Attempts to undermine the move towards a more considerate diversity in game development derive from the same argument that comes up whenever an LGBTQ character or black protagonist appears in games where historical accuracy is considered sacrosanct. I guess that's what she says here. I hope I said that right. So a couple things, and I'm going to just kind of step away from the article because it just goes on and on and on. And there's a few things that I just kind of want to kind of point out. I feel like a lot of times, I feel like there's a narrative that tries to pair, the black struggle or racism with the LGBT, with prejudice that's received in the LGBTQ movement. And those are two very separate things, in my opinion. I really hate when those two things are kind of paired together as like a similar experience, and it's very, very different, I think. And I'm not going to dive into the reasons why I think it's different. I'm just going to say that those are two very different things. I don't know if I know growing up, I've seen, black characters in video games. I do remember a lot of the characters that I saw, especially in like war games or army games. A lot of them were white characters. A lot of them looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger or some type of 90s action hero from the movies. There weren't a ton of black characters in games. But I think for the audience that's consuming this content, when you move back to the topic of woke content, I think that the hard time that they're having is, you have an audience that's used to seeing a certain type of character, whether they're black or they're white is one thing. But I think when you make a storyline that depicts a woman who looks like maybe she's 80 pounds soaking wet, taking down men who are 250 pounds, it starts to reach a level that's just not believable. Now you might say, well, Y2K, these are video games, right? Like, none of it's real, right? But I think that for the audience that you're going after, if they're not, accepting the message, if they're not accepting the depiction, you're kind of fighting a losing battle. And I think that's what we're seeing when some of these games are brought forth by some of these studios. I have no problem with female superheroes at all. It doesn't matter to me how you dress them. I'm the type of person that if a game is good, a game is good. I focus. Now, if I play a game and I see that the graphics are great or that the character looks really cool, like, wow, that's a really cool looking character, I'm going to play the game. You know, I did a video the other day talking about the Streets of Rage games. And I said my favorite character in Streets of Rage 2 was Blaze Fielding, because she is the best character, in my opinion, to play Streets of Rage 2 through. She's the most balanced character. She has the best jump kick. In my opinion, that Hadouken move she has is the most effective move when trying to clear screens. And you've got other characters in that game. You've got Axel, obviously, and then you've got the other dude. Can't remember his name. Somebody put his name down in the comments, but the wrestler dude, he's there too. I still think Blaze is one of the best characters. The article talks about Samus. Samus is a GOAT in video games. I mean, everybody, you'll know who Samus is when you see Samus. There's so many female characters that I'm a huge fan of. But I think the issue that the gaming community has, the core gaming community, which is going to be made up of men. I understand that there's a movement there. You know, today there are a lot more women playing video games, which is great. I think it's awesome. I have 2 daughters, so I think them being able to see games and play games that, you know, depict female characters and stars that look like them, I think is great. But you got to remember that the core audience for gaming is men. And if they're rejecting the message, or if they're rejecting the narrative that's being pushed, I don't think the way to fix that is to complain about it, write articles about it, or try to force it down people's throats. I don't think it's going to work. I think you have to allow audiences to, enjoy what it is that they like. It doesn't mean that you practice prejudice of any kind, but you have to understand that if you make a game that has a message or depicts a character and people reject it, you can't be upset about it. You can't then turn around and villainize the audience for not liking it. I make videos all the time that people don't like. I make videos all the time that people don't necessarily agree with. And they voice their opinions down below. They might say, Y2K, you're wrong. I don't agree. I think when it gets to the point of bullying, when it gets to the point of being rude, when insults are starting to be hurled, that's when you're starting to cross a line. But if a community is starting to say that they don't like something, as the content creator, I have to step back and say, okay, what is it that I'm doing? How can I do it differently? What is it that my audience is looking for? And then go from there. I think that the best way people can vote when it comes to all of this stuff, the woke content, woke media and stuff like that, the best way audiences can vote is with their wallets. Nothing speaks louder than dollars and cents. You can talk all you want. You could write 1,000 articles. You can make 1,000 videos about how much something stinks, but nothing is going to speak louder than your wallet. Right? So when these games are being made, when this content is being created, when people don't consume it, when people don't buy it, when people don't participate with it, studios, developers are going to be forced to change. They're going to be forced to pivot. It doesn't mean they're going to abandon everything that they're trying to do, but it just means that they're going to have to take the end user into greater consideration when they're making their products, when they're creating their content, when they're making their media. And I think we saw that, right? We saw that with Disney. We saw that when Disney came out with Madam Web and everyone spoke with their wallet. And people started speaking so loudly with their wallet when it came to some of the content that Marvel and Disney were putting out that they had to pivot. And then here comes Wolverine, Deadpool, right? So, and then comes the scrapping of a lot of other movies that they were going to make, but they realized if we keep pushing this type of content that our audience doesn't want, we're going to go out of business. And so I think that when it comes to this topic, my overall opinion has been the same. If you want to speak with your wallet. If you want to talk with your dollars. Money talks. It's an old saying that I think still rings true today. Nothing speaks louder than the dollars and cents you put behind what you want. And if the community is not feeling this type of content, if the community does not agree, it will all reflect in sales. I mean, and that's really what it is at the end of the day. But let me know what you think down in the comments. What do you think is the biggest way to, I guess, make a statement about just what we're seeing when it comes to the woke agenda, the content? Do you think there is a woke agenda? Do you agree that there needs to be more representation of female diversity? Do you think the representation is diverse enough? I'm interested to know your thoughts on this topic, because it is still a very popular and hot topic, and I don't think this is going away anytime soon. I think this is going to be here for some time, and until, like I said, people vote with their dollars and cents, we're going to continue to have these debates. But that does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector. It's good to be back. It's good to talk with you all. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.